You are a nurse that barely has time for anything else, but you have a secret obsession of a man on TikTok who posts thirst traps, and he suddenly breaks into your house. Let's talk about it. You're a nurse working insane hours, barely seeing sunlight. Your life is chaos. And then one day, while scrolling TikTok during a teeny break, you spot him, a masked guy, posting thirst traps, and your obsession begins. You've been crashing hard. You comment, you fantasize, and suddenly he notices. But here's the twist. He's hiding a dark secret, like super dark. Will you stay? Will you go? Will you run? Meet Josh, a tech genius, hacker, and unfortunately, son of a serial killer. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of guy you think you'd avoid in real life. He's obsessed with keeping his identity a secret, and I don't blame him. No dating, no friends over, always hidden. And yet, when your situation comes across his eyes, the one thing he has been hiding, the masked man, that part of him wakes up fully. So, how do they meet? Funny story. Josh's roommate and best friend Tyler used to have a thing with you, like a situationship. Oh, and your name is Ali, by the way. Life happens. They move on and you barely see each other. Then, TikTok enters the equation. You send Tyler a pic of the masked man asking him to dress like that for you. And Tyler, having moved on and not into masked Kinks, shows the video to Josh. Josh freezes because he is the masked man. But this side of him is hidden, even from his best friend. Suddenly, your harmless fantasy collides with his hidden world. From here, the story gets wild. Oh, and by the way, if you've not caught on it yet, I am reviewing Lights Out by Navessa Allen. It is part of a series called Into Darkness. Let's go on. Josh sits down and starts tracking your TikTok comments, your posts, your fantasies, your life. He knows where you work, where you live. Oh, he already knew that because he's obsessed with keeping that he loves safe. All this while you're blissfully unaware that your masked crush is not just a fantasy, he is real and dangerously close. Because of his father's infamy, Josh has always been careful, hiding himself to protect both him and his loved ones. Things escalate fast, and Josh decides to test the water. He does the unthinkable. He breaks into your apartment. Yeah, your apartment. But here's the thing though, he's careful. He doesn't touch anything, does not steal anything, just leaves a gift, a mask. And you see it. And your brain goes, wait, what? Am I imagining this? You panic while at work. I wait till you get to your house. You notice something is wrong, as if someone is there. You grab your gun, check the whole house, wardrobe, kitchen, every corner, and then you spot the mask. That's when it hits you. The faceless masked man is real, and he was here. Now, you have a cat called Fred, and Fred hates men, hates everyone, except him, and you'll figure that out later. Somehow, the guy walks past your car like he's invisible, and suddenly, your fantasy, the one that you thought only existed online, it's real. You DM him, you ask him, did you break into my house? And responds cryptically, of course. What would you do if I did? I mean, it's a no and it's not a yes. Your mind is spinning, part scared, part intrigued. And just to see how you react, Josh had a camera in your room. Yep, he watched. That's not the part you'd be embarrassed about. He just wanted to gauge your reaction. And honestly, you passed the test. Josh sends you a security kit for your apartment. Yes, he's still wearing a mask. And yes, he did break into your house, but he's genuinely concerned. He cares about your safety. And you know the funny part is, he sends you a camera detector among the package, even though he knows that he hid a camera in your room. Your reaction? A mix of fury, disbelief, and yeah, secretly, maybe a little turned on. Josh, he just marks behind his mask. Things get even crazier because he posts another video with a caption, something that he never does. And it says, when mom is mad at you. And you, of course, comment back. And guess what? He likes that comment and follows you. Yep. The guy who has never followed anyone on TikTok suddenly follows you over people. The internet notices. Everyone is curious. Some women, or maybe men, are low-key jealous. Some want to see the faceless man's face, and you're trying to figure it out. Because you also don't know, like, who is he? But Josh, he's busy. He's hacked into your workplace CCTV, so you're grinding non-stop, skipped meals, and decides to do something about it. He shows up at your hospital, still masked, still mysterious. It is snowing, cold as heck, and you, exhausted, hungry, and yet you get into the car. Smart? Maybe not. But irresistible? Totally. During the ride, things escalate. Oh, he brought you food. And after a few tests and warnings, you ate. You're tired. You're distracted. But you want something. And he allows you. But amidst those chaos, you injure his hand. Deep cut. Ouch. But he's trying to keep it cool. Keep the mask on. Keep the mystery alive. Oh, and another thing. This whole time, you've not heard his voice. You're just communicating via chats and TikTok messages. When you get home, being the badass nurse you are, you stitch him up. You clean the wound, bandage it, and secretly stash those bandages. Why, you might ask? Because, according to you, if anything happens and he ends up being a serial killer, you want the evidence pointing exactly where it should. Where all this is happening, your heart is racing and you're just beginning to realize this masked man obsession you've had on TikTok, it's not just a fantasy anymore, and you're in for it. After all this chaos, you're determined to find out who this masked man really is. You reach out to Tyler, your ex-situationship, and Josh's roommate and best friend, because, well, you knew that Tyler's roommate was a hacker. Classic irony, right? Tyler promises to help and talk to Josh, but with a warning that if you're in danger, you should call the police. You, of course, think, danger? He hasn't even harmed me yet. I got this. Meanwhile, Josh, he's sweating bullets. He cannot say no to Tyler because that will look suspicious, and he still wants to keep his identity hidden. Every move you make, every question you ask, He has to carefully hide all traces of himself, or rather, all traces of the masked man. Gloves on to cover the cut from earlier. Burner phones coded to answer your texts just in case you text while you're with him. Minimal hacking to cover up the tracks. And all the while, keeping his cool like he's just a normal regular guy. You get to his house and immediately something feels familiar. His hands, his posture, the way he talks, something's off. You press his injured heart, maybe a little bit more. You apply more pressure to see if he reacts. He controls the pain almost masterfully. Games are played, a little banter, a little tension, a test of trust. He even drops the classic line, "You should report this to the police," just to see how you react. And you walk away, still thinking, maybe, just maybe, Josh is the masked man. Little did you know, the masked man was right there, watching you inch closer to the truth, keeping the ultimate secret under wraps. Classic Josh energy, chaos wrapped in control, and a whole lot of obsession. You continue communicating by phone, and Josh remains masked. And then, now that you've had a taste of him, you cannot get him out of your mind. And now your fantasies grow wilder. You just want to taste him again. You want to experience one of the fantasies of having him wait for you in your house at night, holding a knife. Little did you know that Josh had the same idea, but he fell asleep. So when you get home that night, you plug the camera that he left in your house the first time he broke in, just to test him. And Josh sees, furious. He breaks in while controlling the security systems. You have another intimate encounter, but not very physical. And at this point, you're fully suspecting that Josh is the masked man. But he covers his tracks carefully. He uses a voice moderator. And when you put a tracking device on his bag, he drives around and forms LOL. And that is frustrating. But what do? You just have to figure out another way to catch him red-handed. Life's been a roller coaster already, but things take a darker turn one day at work. Ali encounters a guy from a very powerful family, someone who thinks he can get away with anything. Every time he messes up, rapes a woman, his family covers for him. Classic entitled virile energy. Ali is careful. She gives him a fake name while tending to him, but unfortunately, someone calls her by her real name. And at that point, there's nothing she could have done. That night, after a brutal day at the hospital, Josh breaks into Ali's house to keep her safe and to figure out what's wrong, because he had seen from the CCTV that Ali left the hospital sad and maybe almost crying. Ali opens up about her childhood traumas. That night, she says that she blames herself for her mother's death. She's an orphan. She lost her mom when she was 16 and her dad followed suitly. And let's say Josh breaking into that house that night was a good move, because the rapist, whose name is Brandy, tries to break in. Josh hears the alarms because, of course, he's already rigged her house with security, and immediately jumps into action. He confronts the masked intruder. A fight ensues. A fight breaks, and the intruder goes down. To your shock, it's Brandy, and he's armed. He has what's called a killer kit with him. Now, Josh and Ali have to think fast. They can't risk Brandy escaping or harming anyone else. Plans are improvised. Instincts kick in. And the masked man finally shows why he's both terrifying and protective all at once. And in that moment, Ali starts to realize something. The man she's been trying to track, the one hiding behind the mask, might be much closer to her than she ever imagined. So, here's where things get intense. Josh and Ali have Brandy in the truck. Their plan? Drive to one of the previous victims' family because the brother would know how to deal with him. But as fate would have it, during the drive, they realize that Brandy is already dead. Panic sets in, but they have no choice. They need a plan. And first, Josh, usually meticulous, forgets his voice moderator this time. Every time he talks, he has to change his voice tone manually. And after a few failed attempts, he just goes for it. Normal voice. And Ali, she's sharp. She starts putting the pieces together. Something clicks. Now, remember those bloody bandages Ali had saved for a potential DNA test? She had swapped them, thinking she might need proof one day. Josh saw it coming. He even wore Tyler's shirt, so it wouldn't match when now Ali went to his house. Classic Josh move. And then, that moment, when they realize that Brandy, instead, Josh steps out to vomit because the stress and the adrenaline is too much. He has to remove his mask to do it. And right there, Ali knows. She finally confirms that it is Josh, the masked man he's been obsessed with, intrigued by, and maybe even falling for. It's Josh, and she laughs, not with malice, but because of how perfectly ridiculous and chaotic the moment is. Despite the chaos, they need a plan. Ali suggests going to her uncle Nico, the one who still has ties to the mob. Oh, she's Italian. She knows he can help them clean up the mess, and yes, with mob help comes a prize. But Ali and Josh are desperate, and so the next chapter in the world ride begins. Ali and Josh head to her uncle's Nico for help, and of course the mob doesn't do charity. They need something in return. For Nico, it is simple. Ali has to go for family dinners at least once a month, and that's a small price compared to the mess they've just cleaned up. Nico tracks Brandy's hidden car. They find it, disassemble it, and sell it for parts, so there's no way anyone can trace it. Meanwhile, Ali has to drive back to the city because Nico is afraid the feds or anyone watching might get suspicious if someone else drove the car. It's chaos, but they're handling it, and really well. Now, here's another twist. Remember those bloody bandages Ali had collected for a DNA test? She finally gets the results back. Negative. But then, the colleague did a little deeper dive into those DNA and discovers that the DNA is linked to the son of a serial killer. And Ali starts connecting the dots. Panic hits. Every instinct in her says run, but she doesn't. She sits down, collects herself, and decides to listen. Tyler, Josh's roommate and Ali's ex-situationship, steps in to explain everything. He fills in Ali on Josh's past, how his father was a convicted serial killer, and how Josh has always worked to protect, never harm. How he's obsessed with security hacking and controlling situations, not for cruelty, but for safety. How Josh traumas has shaped his present, and slowly, piece by piece, Ali begins to understand Josh, the masked man he's been drawn to. When Josh gets home, Tyler lets him know that Ali knows about his dad. They open up about their fears, their losses. Ali shares how she lost her parents at 16 and how it drives her to save everyone she can. Josh shares the darkness of his childhood and how he channels his instincts into obsession, but not to harm. And slowly, the attention softens, the walls come down, and trust begins to form. And yes, in the midst of all that chaos, love quietly blossoms. They start to date, they bond over their traumas, their desires, and even their kinks. And the kinks, their world. They adopt another cat to keep Fred company. And after all those cures, the stalking, the danger, and playing some of their favorite cat and mouse game, Josh finally proposes. And for once, in a world full of secrets and masks, everything feels right. Well, diary darlings, that's my deep dive into Lights Out by Navessa Allen. What did you think? Would you dare to fall for a mysterious masked man with a dark past? Or maybe you've already read it and want to share your thoughts. Drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe for more bookish content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Until next time, keep reading and stay fabulous.